Hello, everyone. Thank you for checking out this special episode of Really Dicey. This is Manny, and I am here with,
Robert Peetsalu.
and you are the creator of Fatebenders, the role playing game, which is free. And I have to say that the cover for this is phenomenal. I love the usage of colors. I don't know, something about this cover gives me the feeling of a mix of adventure and spirituality and magic and wonder. This is a phenomenal cover. But
Yeah,
uh,
I,
but yeah,
I was I was lucky to find this artist in Tallinn, in Estonia, and to meet her. And I first found her art on Instagram, and then turned out that she was in the same city as me, so it was a no-brainer for me to ask her to make the cover.
hmm. So let's start at the beginning. What is Fate Benders, the role playing game, exactly?
It's a fantasy city adventure game where player characters are in the focus. So instead of fighting a villain or monsters or hunting treasure, the game is about what does your character want, what is your character about, and following their story of overcoming obstacles to achieve their personal goals.
So usually in most role playing games, there's a character that has a backstory, but the backstory at times is not very prominent to the main adventure, and we just focus on the main adventure, not so much on the character's goals or backstory, things like that. But this game seems to focus directly. It's almost like a synergy between the game master and the player, where it's just focusing on the character's growth and story. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, as a player, I've had luck to participate in different games and different game systems under different game masters in long-term format, and I always went deep into who is my character, what do they want to do, uh, and tell their story through their decisions and their actions. And I always felt like the the villains and the monsters and the plot got kind of in the way of me trying to show my game master and my other players like what's my character about. And I felt like there's so much potential in role playing games to explore in this direction. Like the treasure hunting has been done to death, and I love treasure hunting, and I love combat, tactical combat. But I just saw that there's so much potential that's untapped currently.
Hmm. So, where did the idea for this come from? Why have you decided to make this game?
Yeah, as I was, I decided to make to become a game master for the various groups I've been a player in, to kind of give back to community, and I started looking for a system that would fix some of the problems that I saw in the game systems that we're using, and also kind of give more stage or spotlight to player characters' ideas. Because I had like this wizard who wanted to become friends with the brass dragon, or like rebuild ancient temples, and there was potential, but we never got to it because there was plot to be followed.
So, I really like the idea of a game that really focuses on a character's backstory and history and making that the adventure of the game. I think for a long time, players have sort of been asking that. How does this game, how do the rules of the game help make that happen exactly? So that the store the game itself is player focused.
I've designed Fatebenders from the ground up to like I discarded like everything and read dozens of game systems, computer game mechanics, and try to like start as from a clean slate as possible. while not inventing wheels. Like I saw that, for example, advantage, disadvantage, really good mechanic from D&D, and some really nice tactical positioning rules or mechanics from some computer games. And but these were all on the table, and I tried to take them lightly and not get attached to mechanics, but focus on, okay, what's the design goal of the game, to tell stories about player characters, and for example, the game master only prepares encounters that challenge these goals that player characters set for their character, that players set for their character. And when player character achieves their goal, they and all the other player characters who help them and participated gain experience. So it's not experience from uh, gold, from milestones, or uh, from slaying monsters. It's tightly connected to what the game is about. So progression is about player characters, for example.
So this is not a fifth edition clone or anything like that. It's its own game. Am I correct?
Yeah, another aspect, for example, why Fatebenders is a city adventures, is that when you're in a dungeon, there's not many personal goals that you can set for your character and pursue. But when you're in a city, you don't need to split the party to go into vastly different directions to pursue your goals. You can all take time for each of your party members to help them achieve their goal. So the
Mm.
city has so many more options for what goals you can set for your character. When you're in a city, or when you're a game master and your players are in a city, they do something. It's so much better. There's so many more opportunities to show them the consequences of their decisions, their actions, the good and the bad. And this helps them realize that everything they do matters. And also, the conflicts in a city are more about what does the other person want rather than what type of damage they do.
Oh, interesting. So, would you say this book is a combination of a player's handbook, but it's also a setting book for city adventures? And is this city? Um, would you say it's is it something like is it how fluid is the city exactly? Like, is there are there maps? Are there um, are there rules to create the city? Like, what well, when you say a
Yeah,
city setting, what do you mean exactly?
it's I've tried also running pre-made adventures, published adventures, and it's so much work to make someone else's published city your own. So you have to read basically through all of it to prepare everything because you don't know where your players are going to go. So in Fatebenders, I put a lot of effort into making the prep for game master as smooth as possible. So instead of defining one setting, I know that game masters have to make it their own anyway. So why not give them the tools to make their own setting, their own city? And basically, I built a city and kingdom generator, which is like it's a part of the game. I don't Yeah, I think now this is like transcending just the book format. There's now online tools that are playing such a big role in role playing games, and this city generator, it has like settings. Do you want it to be like Greek or Roman or Chinese or Japanese style? The names that's the naming will be taken from the culture you select, and then what kind of city is it? A capital? Is it a village? Is it a castle town? is it a port town? And that will define like what districts are there in a city. Cities are well, settlements in general are comprised of districts, and in each district there is a faction with a leader who pursues some kind of goal, and player characters can see the faction events unfold and decide whether they want to take side of one or the other faction or stay neutral and do their own thing.
Wow, interesting. So this book is 78 pages, and from what I understand, it looks like there's a lot of online tools, so you could create your city and so forth. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, so there's the book, which is the Player Handbook and Game Master's Guide. Then there is a city generator and an NPC generator uh, on Chartopia, which Game Master can use mainly for prep to smooth out the preparation process, but also if they need to quickly generate a new character online and during the game, then they can do that too.
Okay. Is this your first role playing game that you've created?
Yeah,
Okay. I have to say we've done a phenomenal job. If I could just, I'm going to showcase some of the interior pages, but the layout of it is very good. The art is very good. Um, if I may ask, were there any challenges? What were your greatest challenges in putting this together?
the printing and everything that concerns the PDF and the standards that it has to meet to get uh, printed. It was a new world for me. I had to do not only design, playtesting, and writing, but also layout and learn a bunch of stuff that I didn't know how to do. But it's a hobby project. I had time and I knew that this is the game I'm going to make. I'm not going to do probably edition 2 or 3. I want it to be as good as I can make it in the first edition. And I wanted everything that the game master needs to be there in one book.
Now, I have to ask. This is for those of you wondering. This is right now free on Drive Through RPG, um, so you could get the whole game for free right now. The online tools for free right now. If well, the PDF version at least. I know you probably. I heard rumors that you're working on a printed version, but I'm sure someone has to pay for that. Um, if I may ask, why is this free right now? Why are you making this available to anyone?
I wanted to change how, uh, like, give players and game masters a chance to play in a novel way. How I thought that is at least unexplored and reach as many tables, gaming tables as I could. I knew that by being one person publisher, I couldn't probably earn uh, a living from it. So I knew from the start it's going to be my hobby project, and I want to reach as many people as I can. So free PDF is uh, basic. It's what I would expect actually to like see what the game is about, try, and if I like it and I want to support the creator, I'll buy the book. So basically, yeah, that's what the way I've gone. Basically, the digital, everything digital, including the Chartopia generators, is not just free. It's in Creative Commons. So
Wow.
uh, you can take Fatebenders, uh, change it, and publish your own game. It's free, yeah, not only for private use, or you can remix it, do whatever you want. Yeah, copyleft, as copyleft as you can get.
Wow, that's amazing. Let's talk about a little bit about who you can be in this game exactly. You mentioned it's a fantasy game. Should we assume it'll be something similar, like where there's fighters and mages and so forth?
Back in the day when I started, I wanted to make a game where the magic system would support something like in the King Killer Chronicles, where a character could bind different objects at a distance so that they would move together, have a common inertia, and like exchange heat and some stuff. But this was a bit too hard to make specific rules for it, and it kind of worked and enabled players to use it creatively, but it wasn't as it didn't work out as I wanted. So then I decided to go toward this uh, close range elemental magic, similar to Avatar series. So yeah, magic. I've seen like kitchen sink fantasy magic that lets you trivialize all kinds of interesting problems from a great distance, and I wanted uh, Fatebender's magic system to not trivialize interesting decisions and problems, but instead create new ways to solve them. So instead of having illusion magic to make you invisible, or having a teleportation spell that you could use to bypass interesting problems, Fatebenders gives you disguise magic and illusions that you can use you have to go in there into this encounter, put yourself in danger, and find interesting solutions to the encounters that game master throws at you. Similarly, like it it's hard to repair something easy to break. So there is no like instant repair or manufacture magic, or there is no fail save once and get excluded from combat spells like banishment. Instead, uh, magic in Fatebenders doesn't deal damage, so I guess that's fresh. Instead, it creates conditions and changes the battlefield, or in case you're not in a combat, and the environment, to and gives you free form control over elements. So the players can describe how they control the water or the fire, how it moves, and try different creative solutions. Uh, yeah,
What dice does this use? Does it use typical polyhedral dice? Does it use only d6s? Does it use any dice?
yeah, it does. D20s. So there's advantage and disadvantage, which can like stack. So you might need more than two D20s, but basically no other dice are needed. You can use dice. I mean, I love dice, and I use them to mark the wounds and fatigue of characters and armor points. So yeah, you can use dice in on a combat map, but yeah, you don't have to.
Okay, and it looks like you have your own set of attributes. It looks like you have like about eight. Correct me if I'm wrong. Soldier, athlete, thief, wolf hunter, mystic, scholar, performer, artisan, or AKA composure, strength, dexterity, endurance, attunement, intelligence, empathy, diligence. Um,
Yeah,
it,
so they're paired up. Like it shows how the attributes your character has are a reflection of their past, their practice, and their profession. So if your soldier profession equals your composure attribute, your athlete profession level equals your strength attribute. So the attributes are there to help the game master decide what is the most suitable thing you will need to roll in a specific situation. And under each of these eight professions, there are skills. So when you roll something specific like sneaking, then it's your sneaking level plus your thief level plus whatever you rolled, and you have to roll over the DC.
Oh, okay,
So,
okay.
yeah, basically, professions are groups of skills that evolve together, but that you can level up with experience. But specific skills like sneaking, you don't level them up with experience. Instead, what you do is when you roll nat one on a test, you critically fail, something bad happens extra, but also your character levels up sneaking or whatever skill they used in this test. So they uh, they remember this mistake, and it makes them better at what they do.
Is there a favorite set of rules that you created that you're the most proud of?
I think, well, here in the character sheet, I hope it's really clearly visible how the armor and fatigue move into wounds and into death checks. So, one image to basically give you an understanding of you have certain armor points, if and you spend them, and when they're done, then you start taking wounds. And same with fatigue. If fatigue keeps piling up, then it also overflows into wounds. And then three wounds is all humanoids have the same health, and you can't get more. The game master might create some creatures that have like more than three uh, hearts to deal wounds, and but after the third wound you start dying, and then there's death checks similarly to Dungeons and Dragons.
You mentioned that this is also a game master's guide. What tools does this document have that that can help game masters fashion a story? Like, does it have a like a bestiary or anything like that?
Yeah, I was painfully aware that just throwing advice at game masters is not enough. I needed to give them procedures step by step
Hmm.
so that they wouldn't sink into like infinite possibilities of what to prepare. So basically, preparing the first session has its own steps. Preparing, like, the first session is where you create your characters, your introduce the city and the factions to the players. They pick one faction as their starting faction. From there on, basically, the second session has its own step, and further sessions have their own steps to for the game master to prepare it and then to run it. So um, yeah, to make it as smooth as possible for the game master. There isn't a bestiary, right? It's a city adventure, but if you want to introduce monsters, you can. There's instructions on how to convert monsters from different games into Fatebenders.
Oh, okay, okay. So right now, this is free on Drive Through RPG, the PDF version, and again, the online tools that are available to help make the cities and NPCs are also free. So what is next then? I heard, I think I saw a rumor somewhere that you would think about making a printed version of this book, a hardcover version. What's your plans for the future?
Uh, the hardcover version looks like that. So this is a proof copy, and I'm waiting for the next one. And once I get it, I'll put it online. So it will be viable on Drive-Through RPG, as well as uh, a card deck. So
Mm.
card deck is basically a quality of life improvement deck where there are all of the items. Each item has its own card with its rules and mechanics, and each ability, elemental ability, with its rules and mechanics. So, and also there's descriptive deck, I call it. So it has questions to uh, you deal the cards to your players, and each player answers the question that they got about the NPC they might meet or the room they are in to delegate the descriptive part, which is a bit arbitrary and up to your fantasy and improvisation. Delegate it to your players so the game master has less to prepare.
Wow, this sounds fantastic. Is there anything else about this book? Anything you wanted to share that I haven't asked you about?
I mentioned that during the first session, the players create their characters, but it doesn't start from you creating your character in isolation. Instead, first the game master describes the city, its culture, its factions. Then players together pick what factions they start in. So, and it gives the theme to your game. So it could be wildly different depending. They pick the smugglers guild and they are smugglers, or they pick the castle and they're like servants of the royal family, and it's all about intrigue and big events, or they pick the street urchins, and then it's a much smaller scale game about personal stories. So they pick players pick the theme of the game. The game master doesn't know ahead of time what the game is going to be about. And after they pick the faction they're part of, then players create bonds between their characters. So there's personal stakes for them in each conflict, and then they only create each their own character. Yeah, so it's like zooming in uh, during the first session and
Th- th-
finishing with your character.
this sounds like the way the game master will work for this game, what we're doing this game. It's more laid back than would you say like typical Dungeons and Dragons, and in the sense that instead of the dungeon master doing so much preparation for the creating the dungeons, the monsters, the treasures, and so forth, it's more about kind of like, all right, I have a player, and my player is in a city where he's trying to get revenge against another family for stealing from them or something like that. Um, and your job as a game master is to fulfill whatever personal quest that player is. So it's sort of like you're writing a story together um, to accomplish those goals. Am
Yeah,
I understanding that correctly?
you as the game master are making it interesting because you are throwing sticks in their wheels in their plan. Uh, so they want to, I don't know, become a better swordsman. You from one side you can throw conflicts at them as like opponents, duels. Those are opportunities to get closer to their goals, but you could also throw obstacles at them.
One more thing. I do love that this takes place in cities. I love cities. I grew up in a city, so I love city adventures. Um, if I may ask, was there if I may ask, is there like a personal reason? Is it did you also grow up in cities? And because I always found cities to be pretty interesting in a way. They're dungeons themselves. You have this huge area, a lot of unknowns, very busy, so full of people. That city has its own life, has its own style, its own architecture, its own schedule of things. Uh, it would it was there like a personal reason, or it's just you just love cities, or
There's just this vast amount of opportunities that you have as a player to pursue any kind of goals, and yeah, you if you want to write the perfect poem or brew a batch of ale or like help some benevolent ruler to get the throne or whatever goals, and they can coexist in the same location without having to split player characters. Yeah, so it's first I actually tried to play like try to design it like similar to Dungeons and Dragons, and I just saw it doesn't work. This isn't when in a dungeon. There's not many goals you can have that are varied, that are interesting. And in a city, it just clicks together. There's consequences that, as long as you stay in that city, you will see them. There's factions that if you are lost, you don't know what your character would want. then instead of racking your brain and coming up with something that you don't feel necessary, you could instead say, "Hey, I'm interested in that faction event that the game master described that happened. I want to take sides, or I want to go investigate that." So the goals of player characters would be born from the faction events and faction conflicts.
One thing personally I want to ask. I was looking at your character sheet. When you make characters, in Dungeons and Dragons, you just roll a bunch of d6s for your attributes. How are attributes decided in your game when you're making a character?
There's two options. One is point buy with here's 35 experience points for each of you and distribute them. The other is a sequence of numbers like uh, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And basically, in case of the sequence, you decide what is my character best at, strongest at. You put the 5 there, uh, their level 5 soldier, for example, and so on. And in the case of point buy, which is also identical to the way you level up your character after the start of the game, is that to get the first level, you spend 1 experience point. To get the second level from the first, you spend 2 experience points. So diminishing returns to invest in a single profession, and it encourages to make more rounded characters.
Yeah, I have to say, for a 78-page book, this is the amount of information and potential storytelling you can do is amazing. Robert, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us about Fatebenders, the role playing game. Again, it's free. Online tools are free, and but again, 78 pages. It's a fantastic book. So again, I'll put all the links in the description below for anyone who wants to check out this role playing game. Everyone, thank you for watching. Stay safe out there. We'll see you next time.